Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to today's webcast. My name is Katie Simpson, and I'm an ESL instructor here at College of the Canyons. I also work at ISP, and we are so excited that you are here joining us today for this webcast. I think we're going to have a lot of fun practicing our English together. So glad you're here. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen to show you a little bit what we are doing today. Hopefully you can see this PowerPoint screen. Like I mentioned, my name is Katie, and we are here at College of the Canyons in the International Services and Programs Department, or more commonly known as ISP. Here is our information if you would like to email us. And today our webcast is focused on a little listening and speaking. If you joined our webcast last week, we did some vocabulary practice with our speaking. We went over some new vocabulary words. We did some speaking and discussion with it. And like I mentioned, today we will be listening to an article that includes those vocabulary words that we practiced. So you'll see the title of the listening is Kids and Sugary Drinks. We'll be looking at that title a little bit later. But before we jump into the listening, I wanted to give you an opportunity to warm up and do a little speaking practice to get us going today. I have here just 6 basic introduction questions. I'd like if you could turn to a partner or maybe get in a small group. You could even do a full group discussion if you are at school in a classroom. If you are at home on your own, feel free to think about these questions or write them down. But I'd like to give you just a few minutes right now to do some speaking and listening and conversation practice. So go ahead and turn to your partner and do a little discussion right now. Feel free to push pause right now so you have some time to answer these questions. All right, have a fun discussion. All right, well, hopefully you hit pause so you had time to discuss these questions with your partner or with a small group in your classroom. I'm sorry that I cannot be here in real life with you. I hope one day we can discuss these questions on Zoom together or in real life, maybe in your country or here in Santa Clarita at College of the Canyons, so that we can get to know each other better and just spend some time together. But for now, we'll just do this virtually on Zoom like this. All right, let's get to our listening. So we're going to look at a listening article today. And like I mentioned, we are going to be relating this to the words we studied last week or in our last webinar. So I wanted to ask you, do you remember the vocabulary words that we discussed in our last webinar? And do you remember what the theme of this unit was? What was the theme that we talked about? Try to think about it for a minute. Yeah, hopefully you'll remember that we were talking about health and lifestyle and wellness, right? We were looking at physical health, a little mental health. You did some discussion questions about these topics, and our vocabulary words were related to these topics. So let's take a look at our listening and see if we can remember some of those words that we discussed last week. All right, here is our first page of our listening. I'd like you to look at the title, right? The title is the name of the listening and the picture. So the title is Kids and Sugary Drinks. And then we've got this picture here. I'm sure you've seen one of these before. Do you know what it's called? Do you know what these are called? This is called a vending machine, and you'll see it has some soda, a little maybe iced tea, water, an energy drink, and the title is Kids and Sugary Drinks. So based on that title, what do you think this will be about? Think about that. All right. You could maybe even tell a partner, you could share out loud in your class, or just think about what you think this will be about. So we're going to take a look now at the actual article. We're going to listen to this audio. I would recommend as you listen, if you have a pen or some paper, write down some notes as you're listening. It's a good listening strategy for you. It will help you remember what you've heard. It will help you take notes of new vocabulary words that maybe you don't know, and just to help you summarize and understand the overall main idea of this article. So I'd like if you could take some notes about important information that you hear. And then after we listen, we can share what you heard based on the notes that you took, and you can share your notes, okay? So let me share my sound for you so you can hear it. Does everyone have a little pen or pencil and some paper? Hopefully ready to go? All right, let me turn up my volume. I think we are good to go. Everybody ready? All right, let's see here. All right, here we go.
Listening 1. Kids and sugary drinks. There are two groups who are worried about kids' health and want to make some changes. The first group is the American Heart Association. This group raises money for research on heart disease and works to help people live healthy lives. The other group is the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is a group of doctors who cares for children and teens. These two groups have been working together to achieve two goals. They want limits on advertisements for drinks, and they want more information printed on the packages. They believe these changes could help people consume less sugar. They also advised that water and milk be on kids' menus at restaurants. They do not want soda to be the only drink option. They say that too much sugar is unhealthy for children and teens. Soda has a lot of sugar, and having too much sugar can lead to being overweight or obese. This can cause many health problems. Dr. Natalie Muth suggested that packages have a warning about having too much sugar. They also suggested that there needs to be stronger rules about drink advertisements. They believe the ads on TV and the internet should be changed. Some cities have even taxed soda and other sugary drinks so that they cost more, and people might not want to buy them as much. Drink companies do not like these plans. They are afraid they will lose too much money. Dr. Muth says they want kids and teens to get hooked on these drinks. The American Beverage Association suggests that parents should decide which drinks are best for their kids. The association says that there are drinks with little or no sugar, so it is the parents' responsibility to choose drinks for their children. Therefore, this has become a controversial topic between doctors and beverage companies.
All right, so there is your first audio listening right there about our kids and their sugary drinks. I hope it was clear and not too fast. I hope you were able to write down some notes of some vocabulary words or main ideas and details. Would anyone like to share? You could share with a partner, you can share with a small group in your class, or have a full class discussion. Take a few minutes and share. What did you write down on your paper? What did you hear in this listening? What was it about? Take a couple minutes and share with someone next to you. All right, share with a partner or a group. All right, you can push pause so that you have time to speak. Well, I hope you had a chance to maybe discuss some of the main ideas that you heard. Hopefully, you were able to listen to this topic about the doctors and the beverage companies who have these different opinions about kids and the amount of sugar that they consume. Remember, consume, that word from last week, the amount of sugar they drink or take in, right? And the doctors want the companies to do one thing, but the beverage companies want to do something else. So hopefully you were able to hear and listen to the two different opinions and views. We'll talk more about what they believe and their views in just a minute, but I hope you were able to grasp that overall concept of the listening. And hopefully, did you hear some of those words that we talked about in the last webcast? I hope. We are going to listen again. I know sometimes it does take a couple times to really understand and hear all the details. So I'd like to listen again. This time when we listen, I have a little article for you to think about, some questions, some sentences to think about as we listen to the article. There are 5 different sentences here, and these are sentences that are directly from the audio that we just heard. But you'll notice there are some words missing from the sentences. So we're going to listen to the article again. And as you listen, write in the missing words that you hear. So again, I would recommend if you have a paper or a pen or pencil, please write this down so that as you listen, you can quickly write down the words that you hear. It's only about 1 or 2 words in each blank, so it's not a lot, but I think it will help you really listen carefully for those details. So I'll play it again. You can listen for these sentences here. I will guide you along as we get to the sentences, and then we can check them when we're done. All right. Are we ready to go? Here we go. All right. We've got our sound. Let's try another time and write down the missing words that you hear.
Listening 1. Kids and sugary drinks. There are 2 groups who are worried about kids' health and want to make some changes. The first group is the American Heart Association. This group raises money for research on heart disease and works to help people live healthy lives. The other group is the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is a group of doctors who cares for children and teens. These 2 groups have been working together to achieve 2 goals. They want limits on advertisements for drinks, and they want more information printed on the packages. They believe these changes could help people consume less sugar. They also advised that water and milk be on kids' menus at restaurants. They do not want soda to be the only drink option. They say that too much sugar is unhealthy for children and teens. Soda has a lot of sugar, and having too much sugar can lead to being overweight or obese. This can cause many health problems. Dr. Natalie Muth suggested that packages have a warning about having too much sugar. They also suggested that there needs to be stronger rules about drink advertisements. They believe the ads on TV and the internet should be changed. Some cities have even taxed soda and other sugary drinks so that they cost more and people might not want to buy them as much. Drink companies do not like these plans. They are afraid they will lose too much money. Dr. Muth says, They want kids and teens to get hooked on these drinks. The American Beverage Association suggests that parents should decide which drinks are best for their kids. The association says that there are drinks with little or no sugar, so it is the parents' responsibility to choose drinks for their children. Therefore, this has become a controversial topic between doctors and beverage companies.
All right. Well, there was your second time around listening. Was it a little bit easier listening the second time? Even for me as a native speaker of English, it does help to listen 2 or 3 times to hear all those little details. So it's okay if you need to listen again. In fact, feel free if you want to listen again right now. You can pause the webinar and listen again to make sure you got all the correct answers. Hopefully you heard some of those familiar vocabulary words. I'm going to go to the next slide to show you the answers so you can check your answers. So if you're not ready yet, maybe push pause, but here are the correct answers. So you can check your answers. The first one was heart disease, right? The group is raising money for research on heart disease. There's research, one of those words we talked about, right? And they also talked about limits on advertisements. There's a couple more of our vocabulary words that we looked at, right? They want more information. Number 2 is more information printed on the packages, right? So on your label, if you buy, for example, a soda, they want to show how much sugar, how many calories, how much fat, so that we know everything that we are eating and drinking. And then maybe less advertising, right? Limits, put a little cap on that. Not too many advertisements for these sugary drinks. Number 3 is overweight. Remember, we looked at that word overweight, a little bit heavier than a healthy weight, and how soda has a lot of sugar. If we have too much of it, we can become overweight. Number 4 is changed, right? They believe the ads on TV and the internet should be changed, right? Those doctors think maybe the advertisements are a bad influence and we need to change them so kids are making healthier decisions. That's one opinion. But then number 5 is responsibility. This is the opinion of the American Beverage Association, that they think it's the parents' choice. It's the parents' responsibility to choose the drinks, that the advertisements don't matter. It's the parents' responsibility. So those are the 2 opinions that we're looking at between the doctors and the beverage companies. Hopefully you were able to listen and understand those 2 different views and maybe create your own opinion about this topic. All right, so hopefully you guys got all 5 of these answers correct. Feel free if you'd like to go back and listen again if you had any mistakes, but I'm sure you all did excellent. So this was a little practice with listening for the exact words and details in the listening. I'd like to do a little practice now with looking at some of these other details with some listening comprehension questions. So I've got 5 questions here, multiple choice. I'd like us to read the question and see if we can choose the correct answer based on the listening that we just heard. So number 1 says, according to the article, which 2 groups are worried about kids' health? In the beginning, they talked about 2 different groups. What do you think? Which group was concerned about the kids' health? Hopefully you are thinking the American Heart Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics. Those were those 2 groups that were doing that research on heart disease and helping people live healthy lives. All right, next one. What are these groups' goals, right? These are the groups, American Heart Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics. What are their goals? What do they want to do? Read A, B, or C. Think about your answer. What do we think? Hopefully you are thinking A. They want to change drink advertisements and print more information on the packages, right? They want more information so we as consumers and parents and kids know exactly what we are buying and then eating and drinking. Number 3, what have some cities done so that people don't buy so much soda? What is something that they do? What is a strategy so that people don't buy so much soda? Yes, very good, everyone. They said they'd have taxed soda. Remember, tax was one of those other vocabulary words we looked at, right? They're adding an extra fee. So soda is a little bit more expensive. So maybe people won't want to buy it as much. Do you think that's a good strategy? Would it work in your country? I don't know, maybe. How about number 4? Why don't drink companies like the doctor's plans? Why don't the drink companies like what the doctors want to do? Take a minute, think about your answer. Hopefully you're thinking they are afraid they will lose too much money, right? Maybe if we see the truth about how unhealthy these sodas or other sugary drinks are, maybe people won't want to buy them and they will lose money. Maybe not. Maybe people will still want to buy them, but the drink companies are afraid, right? That they will lose too much money, that people will stop buying these sugary drinks if we change the advertisements, if we put more labels on the packages. So those are those 2 opposing views. All right. And number 5, what does the American Beverage Association suggest? We talked about how the doctors want less advertisements and more labels, but what does the American Beverage Association suggest the solution is? Hopefully you are thinking that parents should decide which drinks are best for their kids, right? We talked about that word responsibility. They think that parents should be responsible for this. So very good, guys. Hopefully that helped you get some ideas about some little details from the listening. And maybe you even were able to think about your own opinion about this topic. Do you agree with the doctors or with the beverage company? I'll leave that up to you to make that decision. And as we finish up, we did our listening. We listened for filling in the blanks with some missing words. We did some listening comprehension questions to identify details. And now I would like to open up the discussion to you so that you are able to share some of your ideas and opinions about this topic. So we've got 6 questions here that I'd like you to discuss with a partner or a small group, or even a full class discussion if you'd like. Again, if you are at home on your own or in a classroom on your own, you can feel free to think about these questions or write them down, okay? So let's take a look at these questions before you discuss. Number 1, do you enjoy sugary drinks? Which drinks do you like? Share some of those yummy drinks, or maybe you don't like those drinks. Number 2, do you think kids and teenagers consume too much sugar? There's that word consume that we talked about in our last webinar. But yes, what's your opinion about kids and sugar? Do they eat and drink too much sugar? Number 3, should packages have warnings with how much sugar they have and why? What do you think about that? What's your opinion? Should we have more labels on our packages like the doctors suggest? Number 4, do advertisements on TV and the internet need to be changed? Or is it the parents' responsibility to decide what kids drink and why? So again, this is thinking about whose side are you on? And you maybe can think a little of each. Just make sure you support your opinion if you think a little bit of each side. But try to share your ideas about that. What's your opinion? Do the advertisements need to be changed, or should the parents just make the choices for the kids? Number 5, what can we do to limit the amount of sugar that kids consume? What can we do to make sure kids are not eating too much sugar or drinking too much sugar? And the last one, do you agree with the doctors or the American Beverage Association, and why? This number 6 kind of sums up everything. It kind of overlaps with some of the other questions, but share your opinion. What do you think? Whose side are you on? If you agree with both of them in some way, that's okay. Just make sure you support your opinion with an example. All right, so take a few minutes now, guys, before we finish up and have a discussion, have a little conversation about the listening and about these questions with your group. Feel free to pause me right now so you can have a little discussion. All right. Okay, well, I hope you had some time to talk about these questions. I hope it was an interesting topic. And that you were able to hear the new vocabulary words that we talked about in the last webcast. Maybe you heard some new words or you learned some new expressions here in this listening. But again, hopefully it was relevant to you. I know that health and diet and lifestyle and sugar is a big part of all of our lives. So I hope it was fun and interesting to listen to an article about it and relate it to your real life, of course. So that just about sums up our webcast for today. Thank you to all of you for joining us. I hope you had fun. I had a great time with all of you. We have here our email and website. Feel free if you'd like to send us an email, come visit us on the College of the Canyons website. We also have some really cool social media platforms that you can see all the fun and exciting things that are going on, even virtually here in Santa Clarita and College of the Canyons. So feel free to join us here. Let us know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you again for joining us. It was great to be with you. And I hope you have a great day or great evening. Hope to see you soon here in Santa Clarita at College of the Canyons. Bye-bye.